This is Inside Badger Football with head coach Trey Shucker. Inside Badger Football is brought to you by the Arkadelphia Alliance and Chamber of Commerce, ATO Automotive, Batson Signs, Bell Wealth Services, Blakelytown, Chad Kesterson Shelter Insurance, Chicken Express, Citizens Bank, Domino's, Eccles, Thompson and Kneebone CPA, Doctors Gary and Rob Rucker, Knight Insurance Professionals, L&J Auto Sales, Ludwig's Bakery, Park Hill Baptist Church, Patterson Federal Credit Union, Print Mania, Providence Veterinary Care, Roger Wingfield State Farm, Scott Bird DDS, The Sexton Firm, South Central Connect, Southern Bancorp, Southwest Auto Collection, Taylor King Law, Tea Time Sims, Trinity Temple Assembly of God, Turner, Rogers, Manning and Plyler CPA, Twin Rivers Health and Rehabilitation, and Welch Funeral Home. The host of Inside Badger Football is Cooper Dar.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Badger Football. I'm Chris Babb, filling in for Cooper Dar, and here with Arkadelphia head coach Trey Shucker. Coach, we have not had to come together on a show like this very often after a loss, but here we are. The Badgers lose 24-23 to Nashville. Coach, on your pregame show, you said that you and your staff knew that there was a fine line between winning and losing, a fine line between being 3-0 like you were and 0-3 because of the way those games, and it just so happened that this Friday night you were on the wrong side of that line in the game against Nashville. Yeah,
we played with fire long enough, and it finally got us. The three previous games came down to a few plays that we were able to make, and the ball bounced our way in some of that. And then Friday, it just seems like those plays we could not make. Ball bounced away from us. Just all the things that, we played about as bad of a game as you can play, especially on offense, no doubt about that, but just things weren't clicking. I thought our defense played well for the most part. They had some explosive plays, but for the most part, the defense didn't allow them to score. A lot of it was created other ways, and so I think that's the most disappointing part of it, feeling like they didn't win the game, we lost the game, and we gave them 14 points of their 24, and you can't do that against a good opponent. Nashville's a good opponent, and we've got to stay focused. I think our focus on game day wasn't where it should have been, and then it led over into our play in the game. So, but that's what happens.
You talk about coming after a loss, and it's not something that your team has experienced in the last 15 games. So responding to really fans and everybody, it's been a fun run the last several years, especially when you come to conference games. But responding to that loss is a key, and I know that you're confident in the way that your guys will come to work this week, preparing for the next game.
Yeah, we are. We're that one hurt. You can tell. My speech to the guys after the game. There's a lot of hurt faces in there, and in a way, I'm glad it hurt. If it didn't hurt, then I know it doesn't mean anything to them. So, but they were hurt by it, and so I expect our team to come back re-energized, refocused, and have a better hunger about them, about being ready for the next game, our next opponent, and the rest of the season. So, there's a lot of good things that you can take away from situations like this, and I have no doubt that our team is going to respond the right way. I know our staff will. Typically when the staff responds the right way, the players follow.
Nashville under a new coach this year, you knew they were going to come in with a little bit different approach than last year, whether it was just the way they played. Nashville played hard all night, caused some disruption up front, especially with the defensive line that forced your offense into some different situations. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of those highlights from the 24-23 loss to the Nashville Scrappers. We start off in the middle of the best play of the night, I guess, ended up being for offense. Bryson McCoy finds Bryce Meekin after the defender fell down. So you have a quick lead, opening drive, 11 minutes left in the first quarter, a quick lead, and we've seen a couple of those happen early in games, and your defense responded. Here we go, midway through the first quarter. This is after Nashville had put a drive together. Your defense is able to come up with a turnover.
Yeah, our defense, had created a lot of negative plays on the night. I talked about they did find some explosives throughout, but as a whole, our defense did a good job of keeping Nashville from scoring points.
Blake Moody here with a big third down run. Coach, let's talk about third down conversion. Your defense, as we'll see, was able to get off the field several times. Offense a few times was able to get something going and get a third down conversion. Here's a nice keeper from McCoy, but just the consistency wasn't there offensively throughout the night.
That's exactly right. The consistency wasn't there, and that goes back to there were some negative plays, there were some penalties, there were some just missed assignments. You see a really good run right here by Blake Moody. I thought Blake ran the ball really hard Friday. He's been able to be consistent with that on Fridays during the games, and he's just a very strong runner with the ball. Caden Whitaker, our other running back, he's been able to run the ball really, really well in the non-conference, and he, just wasn't able to get it going Friday night. And so, but it's really good to have both of them been able to take the reps and try to get something going in the run game and the pass game.
Nashville's offense went with Jacoby Hobson at quarterback, Dixon at running back, and really when they were able to have success, it was through the legs of Hobson either finding a seam or being able to get outside a couple of times, and that's what led to the offensive success that they had.
Yeah, and I think I said it in the pregame. The whole idea, we had to bottle up Hobson. We had to bottle him up, and if we could do that, we felt really good about it. And so that was the whole mentality going into the game defensively, was we got to stop the run. We didn't feel like they were good enough in the passing game to beat us. You see a quick screen right there, and that comes from a defense that's got their ears pinned back trying to get after the run. And so that's
but even after this big play, your defense, we've seen your defense in almost goal line, first and goal situations all season. They're able to come up with another stop here, and you continue to have momentum.
Yeah, Xavier Williams, defensive end, he's been really consistent in all 4 games that we've had of, being disruptive in the pass game, getting off blocks and creating negative plays. Just a really good defensive stop right there.
Amari Ford with the pass breakup on 4th down, and then you have the ball inside the end zone, and just a mistake here leads to a gift of 6 points for Nashville.
Yeah, it is, and it's just an unfortunate play. It's not a very good play, just an unfortunate one though. That's a play that McCoy's made a million times. We've seen him do it, and it was just off rhythm right there, and off rhythm of the play, and just a bad situation overall.
Nashville returns the favor. The ball slips out of Hobson's hands, and Q Morris is there to pick it up. So the Badgers each team gave the other one a score, and so now back to a touchdown lead. You did have a blocked extra point there, which I thought special teams were big all night. But here we go to the third quarter, 14-6, and Nashville coming out of halftime was able to really get 2 plays to put themselves in position.
Yeah, and we're in position to make the play right there. We just don't take the extra step and get a body to a body. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is when we're in position, we got to make the play.
14-6, Badgers lead, and Nashville with the ball inside the 10-yard line. Coach, you talk about playing with fire. Your defense has responded so many times this year, and you just kind of wonder, if you've watched a lot of games, you just kind of wonder at what point might the law of averages work out, but still your defense is able to come up with stops when they need it.
Absolutely, and
in tough spots.
We've put them in tough spots, and that's kind of the theme of it is our defense has stood really tall all year, but there's only so many times that they can be in that situation to where an offense doesn't find a way to get in.
This is the biggest play of the night offensively for Arkadelphia.
Yeah.
Ryan Roberts on a screen play, and then he's able to use his athleticism to evade, and he's going to get inside the 5-yard line. I also thought this was a big play on Nashville because they were those two
guys. It's great pursuit. It's a great. This is teaching tape on why you don't give up on the play and why you finish the play full speed. I mean, we were not able to.
Ended up being a 4-point play.
Yes. I'd like for us to try to go have a lead block out in front and try to escort us in instead of just running beside us. But if we were able to do that, we feel like we could have gotten a touchdown out of the play. Right. Ultimately, we did not score a touchdown. We kicked a field goal, and so we did get 3 out of that whole situation. But we could have gotten more points, and ultimately that's the difference in the game.
17-6, miscommunication on the snap actually hit someone going in motion. Nashville set up nicely, and they're able to put it in 17-12. So
that was their only
offensive
touchdown.
And if there's another,
and we put the ball in the red zone goal line area for them. We put them in the goal line, 5-yard line. So it's just taking advantage of a good field position. I mean, it goes back to we can't put our defense in that situation.
Cam Archer here tries to get the Badgers good field position and does, but you go back to a couple of plays in the game, that 17-6 could have been 21-6, and then that one right there. Now you're looking at a completely different ball game. 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter, and it's a one-possession game.
Yep. And so through all that, we're still in position to win the ball game. You know, we're leading. Our offense started to move the ball in the second half some. You know, most of our offensive yards came in the second half.
Nashville able to get the ball as we start the fourth quarter, a touchdown run to take the lead. Here's a big stop when your defense needed it, 3rd and 9, and turns into 4th and long to force a punt. And so here midway through the fourth quarter, this is where Nashville wanted to be in the game. A nice play by Ethan Lewis there at linebacker, reading that screen and forcing the I guess short completion on 3rd down. So here, 3:47 remaining, needing a score to win. What was the mentality, and what were you telling your team here?
Well, the biggest thing is to go out and make plays. You know, we're in position where we started to move the ball. We started to click a little bit. We just need to go out and make plays. So right there, 4th down, we get a pass interference penalty. It gives us a 1st down. We're feeling really good. We decided to do a boot, play action boot. And just another unfortunate situation where we lose the football. We get a defender in the face and lose the football, and it ends up being points for Nashville.
So now, rather than needing a field goal to win, you're at a place where it's just a completely different game.
Yeah. In this situation, honestly, probably one of the better situations that could have happened because we get the ball back so fast.
Right.
We've got plenty of time to move the ball down the field, and if we can get a score, have an opportunity to either tie or win the game.
So this is the final drive. Obviously, we know that it ends in a touchdown and then a 2-point conversion that was 50-50 call, and it went against the Badgers there at the end of the game. But in your 2-minute offense, what was your philosophy here? And it looked like your offense just seemed to be clicking a little bit more in that tempo spread.
Yeah, we work a 2-minute offense every week. And so I thought that our guys did a really good job of not panicking, going out and executing. McCoy did a really good job of taking what they're giving him. I thought our receivers did a good job of understanding the concepts that we're trying to run to get open and what we're trying to do after the catch, getting 1st downs, finding the sideline, when it's a minute and 30 on the clock, staying in bounds and trying to get more clock off. At this point, we're so close that we need to try to bleed a little bit more clock so we don't give them too much time to go score.
Right.
And, on a 3rd down play, we score the touchdown, and then we decided to go for 2. We play to win the ball game. And so I feel like our guys can execute down here well enough to go win the ball game. A situation like that, it's unfortunate. And, we talk about it all the time that you can't leave any doubt on the field. If you leave a decision to be made by somebody else, a lot of time you're putting yourself at risk for the decision to not go your way. So leave no doubt on the field, and that was what ended up happening in the 2-point play. The decision was left up to somebody else, and we feel like that decision was wrong, but ultimately it doesn't matter at this point.
Right.
So if we leave no doubt, if we take care of business throughout the main parts of the game, if we make plays here and there, if we execute better, it doesn't come down to that, and it should never come down to one play.
And that's what a lot of people obviously focus on. You see in games all across at any level, all across the country, people going to one play, but rarely does it ever come down to
it's never one
play in a game.
It's never one play. It's what happens throughout the main parts of the game and the crucial situations, the 3rd downs, the 4th downs, the executing when you're in the red zone and goal line. And Seth Molinari made a field goal. He also missed one, but Seth's been a kid that's been really consistent for us in the kicking game, and he's done such a great job. And we feel good about Seth kicking field goals, but you kick enough of them, any sport out there, you're going to make a mistake. You're not going to be perfect, and that's one of the biggest things to take away from this game. Also, all the other games that we've had, and hopefully what some of these kids can take up, with them in life. That's why sports teach you about life. You're not going to be perfect, but it's how you respond that matters.
And a lot of times, coaches will say, you can win lessons and you can learn lessons in winning and losing. They're just no fun. We talk a lot about it's a lot better to go correct things after a win, but sometimes those wins also mask some of the areas that you need to improve.
No doubt. Sometimes a loss, if interpreted correctly, can be more impactful in the long term of season. That's what I hope that we can gain through this.
It's hard to say, isn't it?
It is. It is. Kids are definitely, everybody is definitely impacted more by a loss than you are a win. And so it kind of, really brings things to light.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the players of the week from the Nashville game. First of all, we'll go with the offensive player of the week, Bryce Meekin, wide receiver.
Sophomore wide receiver, had the first touchdown of the game. He's also really consistent throughout the game. Bryce is a kid that didn't start the season in a starting role, and he's earned that role. Over the past couple games has kind of turned into one of the most consistent players on offense, and he had a really good game Friday.
Defensive player of the week, Quintavion Morris. Q is always a consistent factor in that Badger defense.
Yeah, led us in tackles, had a phenomenal game, scored, on defense, and then, it's just he's been really consistent. He's one of our senior leaders. He's one of those guys that we can count on to get things done right. He's a guy that we can count on to make plays in the situation when we need him to, and he did that Friday for us.
Another guy who's been consistent is our special teams player of the week, Xavier Williams.
Yeah, he's our special teams player of the week. He's done a phenomenal job on defense, and he's just very special to have. But on special teams, did a great job of his cover down. He's so fast getting down the field, and teams have a hard time blocking him in the kickoff returns and punt returns and things like that. He gets down the field so fast, and he's such an aggressive tackler.
These players of the week are selected by you guys after you go back and watch film. Obviously, on the broadcast, in immediate, we have some people that we think might have made big numbers and all that, but you guys are going back and grading film and seeing a lot of times the contributors, like we had an offensive lineman last week, no offense to offensive line, but we're not noticing a lot of that in the booth. Yes. I probably would play offensive lineman if I was there now, but so no offense, guys. But it just is what it is. But you guys are going back and looking and grading film and seeing, based on the assignments that they're supposed to do, these are the guys that are grading out.
Yeah, and we're thinking more of an impactful type of player also. Right. There's especially on defense, or what it's kind of been like up to this point, it's been very hard to find players of the week because we've had a lot of really good production. But what it comes down to for us when we're picking these players of the weeks are how do they impact the game?
Right.
Yes, they might have a specific number of stats, and everybody wants to make it about stats, but it's also about how you impact the game.
Right.
And that's why we choose who we choose.
Let's go to the Badger Spirit Award for this week, sophomore Andy McDill.
Yeah, Andy McDill was a big contributor in how we prepared this week. Took a selfless role of, working our different scout teams and being a really good look for our groups. Really did a good job of preparing us, and he's had such a positive mentality. He's a guy that he's a sophomore. He prepares like he's a starter. Also is not afraid to go give our starters a good look on the other side of the ball, and is just willing to do whatever it takes to be successful and win. And he's got a great mentality with that, and that's why he's our Badger Spirit Award. He's a guy that we want the rest of the team to model after.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the 4A7. First, our results from the first Friday night of conference play. The winners there on the left: Haskell, Harmony Grove, Malvern, Bauxite, and Nashville, all 1-0 in conference. Ashdown, Genoa, Fountain Lake, Arkadelphia. You see the scores there, Coach. I see a lot of points being put on the board by a lot of these teams. As we move to the standings, obviously those teams that were on the left are going to be up top after just one game. The four winners, the top four, and the four who lost the first games, it tied there for fifth. The line is there as we get later in the season. That's where the break will be for playoffs. So a lot still to be determined just 1 week into the conference schedule. Second week of the conference schedule this Friday night as we take a look at the games there. Haskell Harmony Grove goes to Malvern, Fountain Lake at Nashville, Genoa Central at Ashdown in southwest Arkansas, and then the game that we will focus on now, the Badgers head up to Saline County to face the Bauxite Miners. Coach, let's talk about Bauxite a little bit. The Miners 3-1 on the season, coming off of a conference opening win. This is a team that's dealt with injuries the last couple of years, but they still seem to, even though have things happen, to find ways to battle through that adversity and come up with victories.
Yeah, and this is a team that's playing really well right now. 3-1, they're coming off a couple really good wins, and they've got a lot of momentum right now, and we've got to go over there and play them at their place, and they typically like to play really well at their home. They're one of those teams that the home field advantage matters to them, and so we've got to go and we've got to be ready to play. We've got to be prepared. We've got to be focused. And we've got to go execute. And I feel like every time we get over there's some kind of craziness that happens, whatever that is. I think one of the last times we were over there, the lights got kicked out.
Right.
And there's
literally kicked.
Yeah.
Spencer Allen kicked the
Spencer
ball,
Allen
hit the power line.
Pregame. Yeah. So there's always something like that goes on when we go over there, and we're gonna have to overcome adversity and find a way to get it done.
Find a way, overcome adversity, bounce back, and we'll talk to you next week. That'll about wrap it up. The Badgers kick off against the Bauxite Miners in Saline County. Bauxite High School, 7 p.m. kickoff set for Friday night. If you can't make it, we invite you to join us on the broadcast at ArkadelphiaBadgerTV.com/broadcast. Coach, it's been a while since I've sat in here with you. It's fun to talk about even that game. Still enjoy talking about it with you. Thanks for tuning in to Inside Badger Football, and we'll be back next week.
Go Badgers.
Inside Badger Football is brought to you by the Arkadelphia Alliance and Chamber of Commerce, ATO Automotive, Batson Signs, Bell Wealth Services, Blakelytown, Chad Kesterson Shelter Insurance, Chicken Express, Citizens Bank, Domino's, Eccles, Thompson and Kneebone CPA, Doctors Gary and Rob Rucker, Knight Insurance Professionals, L&J Auto Sales, Ludwig's Bakery, Park Hill Baptist Church, Patterson Federal Credit Union, Print Mania, Providence Veterinary Care, Roger Wingfield State Farm, Scott Bird DDS, The Sexton Firm, South Central Connect, Southern Bancorp, Southwest Auto Collection, Taylor King Law, Tea Time Sims, Trinity Temple Assembly of God, Turner, Rogers, Manning and Plyler CPA, Twin Rivers Health and Rehabilitation, and Welch Funeral Home. Inside Badger Football is a production of the Washita Sports Digital Network, the student sports media program housed in the Rogers Department of Communications at Washita Baptist University. Inside Badger Football is brought